Ooh, this one is really heavy. Interesting one. It's a time for package from China. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So in today's video, we are going to take a close look at one of those arcade products I purchased from One More Arcade. So this is actually what we're getting inside the package. A lot of different components, because this is quite on the looks kit, complete with light guns and everything else. But how is this when it comes to the competition? So let's start off with the controllers. I'm quite disappointed already. And the reason why, not because of the two controller, one, let's say USB configuration, no, simply because they are giving you the cheap ones. This is absolutely like those chemical ones I personally really hate. Very cheap feel, no rumble function. Yeah, they should improve it, but I understand this is an arcade board, so I'm guessing they don't want to have the focus on, let's say, the controller configuration. They just want you to plug this thing into arcade machine, and these things are just extra. Okay, so the most important thing, the heart of the machine, the PC, because that's actually what they're using. The first impression is not positive because there was something loose in it. So we're going to be opening it up because we need to see what is in the inside also. But let's see what it comes to the connection. So this thing, you can just clearly see it's made for putting in an arcade machine through all the holes over here, so you can just screw it in your arcade machine. So this is the special connection for the bottom, two USBs over here. And I think these were like for the light guns. Nevertheless, we're going to be looking into the manual. Always double check it because they were like indicating everything. The HDMI, VGA, we're having another 4 ports and the RG45. The even and separate audio jack and the input for the power supply. But let's open up this thing and let's see what are we getting in the inside. How about the Pandora GunMax menu? It's kind of messy like the previous model. So having the 3D and 2-dimensional list, personally I hate this, simply because it makes no sense whatsoever, because the 3-dimensional also have just 2-dimensional games. In here we do have the icon showcasing that we have a lot of different light guns, even including Virtual Cop 1 and 2. So where we have, like say, some basic, let's say, retro shooter or Pandora's Box Standard Edition has some limitation due to the power. This thing doesn't have any issues with some other games that we didn't see before, and those, I say, cheaper solutions. And that's absolutely great. Where we don't have like thousands or something like light guns, no, that's not the case. The menu, they should improve it. Think about the Pandora's Box 10 or the Pandora game 3D. That works so much more convenient. But let's go all the way up to the top, having the 2-dimensional games. Also here we can find even some extra light gun games. And yep, we have a favorite list, a history, and the search. And with the search in here, we're finding just a simple way to search for our games, of course. And let's see if we can implement a letter. Yeah, always like figuring out how everything works over here. But if you're going to put in the Sonic, you can just see that it searched all the Sonic games. So that part works great. In here we're having the categories, Sega Dreamcast, N64, but with this particular machine I don't expect any problems with N64, and I think also with PlayStation Portable. So that is what we're going to be also dedicating this video to. Categories over here, shooting, puzzle, and also of course the light gun. So if you want to have all the light guns on one page, you can just search for it, and that's it actually. But first let's focus on the normal games. So if you want to get into some 8-bit, 16-bit, you don't need to buy such an expensive product, because the simple product like a normal One More Arcade product or a retro shooter can play them all just fine. But I just want to implement them in the video. So let's look through the list of PC Engine. If there's anything else that I wanted to showcase over here, we have a Bomberman, all kinds of cool games over here. Everything has a preview picture, or at least a video. That seems to be working all fine. Ooh, Darius Plus, that's absolutely great game. I also have this on my PC Engine. A downside is that we cannot actually use any aspect ratio shizzle going on over here. The weird thing is that we always need the button for the second control. Let's see, the analog stick is only configured to the gaming over here. Let's remove the analog configuration, and indeed I can use the D-pad now, so that seems to be working all fine. Holding the right joystick on the second controller should be the way out. Oh, there we go. It also adjusted the volume, as you can see over here, because it's running on Windows. Yeah, so the weird thing is, like, I need to put the analog on, otherwise I cannot navigate. So, you know, it's kind of messy, to be honest, that we need to toggle analog on and off, depending how you actually want to play. Exit the game, and that's actually how it works. Okay, so let's go back into some more stuff like the Mega Drive, and let's take a closer look at these games. All is going to be in the 6x9 crazy widescreen resolution chisel. Let's start off with some Mega Drive. I just want to hear the soundtracks, so I'm using the analog stick now. Okay, trying to search what button I need to use. Alright, so that seems to be configured to a 3-button situation. Okay, so let's remove the analog now. So we can use the D-pad, but oh man, like the D-pad is so difficult to play with. Because you need to push it in really hard. Oh, this is not going to be a pleasant experience. But the overall emulation seems to be working just fine. So when it comes to that, no problem whatsoever. So what we need to do is figuring out how I can add new controllers to this 1 and 2 player. And we also have all of the, let's say, shortcuts, so we can go back to the main menu. Okay, next up we are using the Game Boy Advance emulator, and they didn't implement any pixel filter. We can do this in the menu, or the special menu, where we can configure that. It will look a little bit better on bigger screen, because this is some widescreen craziness. I must say that I actually can really enjoy it on this analog stick of the controller. Alright, there we go. Whew. Okay, next up was some Famicom, and I've noticed that they're using some PAL games, so that's clearly... Oh yeah. So does this thing has automatic, like, turbo function or what? Seems to be looking like that. But so far also here, no weird things going on with the music. Moving on to some Super NES, and I can tell you, I completely messed it up. Alright, I had an absolutely huge brain fart over here. But when I was playing these games with the analog stick, it seems to be just playable. Okay. No weird emulation shizzle going on over here, no weird glitches, everything boots up instantly, no problem whatsoever. So let's do something crazy, let's save. Alright, let's go back to the menu again. Let's load up, and you can see that works also great without problem. What is interesting, that automatically it sees to play 2 controllers, you can just say over there. So that is kinda cool. No problem whatsoever. So 2-player configuration works just fine. You just plug in the 2-player controller and that's it. So when it comes to the PlayStation 1 part, this system is capable of running it without any problem. The only thing I do wonder is, like, are they using more like an, let's say now we're playing I think a native resolution, but this PC is able to run it on maybe 1080p. So that's one of those things you cannot adjust. Another thing they keep messing up is that they not implementing, let's say, the original soundtracks. It's kind of a bummer, because that is absolutely like such a shame if they keep doing that, and we have seen it many times before, but it's just like a hit or miss. Some Pandora's boxes or C machines don't have the problem at all, and machines like these that cost like a fortune, they're still doing it. And to save space, that's the most stupid thing, because you can just slap in a 2 TB SSD and have like massive space that you can basically add a lot of different games to. This, by the way, one of my games I've played a lot as a child. This is so much fun. I want to give this thing a second attempt to see if they implemented some music with another game. Nope, they also messed it up with this part. No, so that's absolutely such an annoying thing. They, so far I tested out, they removed all of the soundtracks. Come on, why? And also they should use some upscaling, because that would make these things or these games look so much better. So let's start off with some PlayStation Portable and the change of kinkiness with God of War. And the reason why is because this is a game that also has struggles with the cheaper Pandora's boxes. And with the mini PC we don't have this issue. I cannot see if they implemented anything like a frame skip. The button seems to be configured like the original controller, so that is great. But so far I do see some minor hiccups going on, but maybe that has to do with the loading. But besides that, you can just see that everything seems to be running just fine. So that is just great. Alright, I'm using triangle for, normally I'm using the cross, so they did mess it up with this particular game. But circle has been configured correctly. I don't see any hiccups whatsoever. Nope, no hiccups whatsoever, so that seems to be working all fine. So that is absolutely great. And this is one of those first devices that can actually play the Killer Instinct, the real main version. So that is absolutely awesome. I'm always like saying that it cannot be run on, let's say, the Pandora's box, but we could actually use it on the Gun 4 Max thing. So that's absolutely an awesome addition. And that is thanks to having a mini PC in here. And almost getting my ass kicked by this game. But shall we move to part number 2 to see if this runs also equally that good. The Killer Instinct 2 game seems to be working. The weird thing is that I'm having this weird thing that I need to get into the credit mode pressing the joystick on the right. So that's kind of weird. So far we have absolutely great overall performance. So yep, no problem there. I'm always like saying that with the Killer Instinct we're having those, let's say, Tekken games, but with Tekken, no, we're not going to get any Tekken games that are enabled of the MAME. It's kind of a downside because the MAME games of Tekken are absolutely great, but you can just see we're having the Tekken versions and the PlayStation without any music. So move on to the N64. I do see some minor glitching going on, but this is not going to be forming an issue in the general overall gameplay. So we shouldn't be afraid of having problems with N64, but let's see what button they configure for acceleration. But yep, we do have some great performance here. We have seen this with cheap mini PCs too and FZero. Oh man, this joystick is really sensitive. Too sensitive in my opinion. Can we move to the D-pad? Yep, oh yeah, that's much better. So again, I need to press the analog button to switch between D-pad and analog, but we need to do that at the same time. Okay, we need to do the same thing if it's going to be in the main menu, otherwise we cannot navigate. Ugh. And of course we're going to try out one of my favorite racing games of the N64 era, FZero. I wish they'd bring them back. You know, the new generation of the Switch. It's one of those franchises you don't see very often anymore. But also the emulation seems working fine. And the analog stick is not that crazy overall as sensitive that we see with Cruise in the USA. I don't know if that's like a general problem of the game itself, but it's not the same problem with the FZero game. Again, the same kind of weird glitching, of the graphical glitching going on the vehicle itself. You can just see it over there, but beside that, good overall emulation. I'm guessing they are running this on just native resolution, not 1080p, because also these systems will benefit from it. And you're going to put them on rendering resolutions of 1080p or 720p. And those mini PCs are just capable of doing that, even the cheaper ones. So let's move on to some Snowboard Kits. This is absolutely one of my favorite games also to play. I've played this game so much on my original N64. I've even completed 100% where you're getting some extra characters. I think it was like the black and white ninja character. Of course, those characters were completely overpowered compared with the other ones. I've played this so much with a friend back in the day. Such a good time, but also still a lot of fun to play. So that's what I think when it comes to, let's say, these N64 titles. So many hidden gems on there. And oh man, we need to wait for the lift. Can I go first? Can I go first? Nope. Alright, so let's push this thing to the limit with some Sega Dreamcast. Whoa, that volume is so completely loud compared with the other one, the emulators. There is some minor hiccups in the beginning, but that was more like an audio glitch, I guess. Of course, let's try some Power Stone 2. This is absolutely one of those best games on the Sega Dreamcast. Of course, there was so many hidden gems on that system. Think about crazy texture, but this particular one, oh boy, it was absolutely fun. And the Dreamcast game had so many extra things where you can unlock stuff. You need to play through the game, unlocking new features and other craziness. So far, so good. No weird things going on, no weird glitches. Audio seems to be right. Also in-game, no problem. The first time always trying to find which button I need to press. Let's press that button.